So that's just getting primed, or to get them primed. The good lady's old hair dryer I leave out here for certain jobs. So in the meantime, I can get cleaning up these long screw nuts. And let's give this a twist. Every so often, we can get cleaning these up. I want to do a job on deepen this. Oh, I already did deepen it, yeah. Give it a bit of a deepen, make it easier. 4. Lovely. Clean up the threads a little bit. Tap down at the top. May as well clean it up because if there's dirt on that, it's only going to go collecting as I push it through. So they're perfectly usable. The Dynamo body is nice and warm. That'll dry. That'll dry. Lovely, I can feel the heat. It's warmed right through, so that's grand. That'll dry very quickly. So where are we now? So we do have another thing we're going to have to work out. And it'll all become a bit clearer in a while. So throw them over here and have a look at these. We've got 3 pulleys of different heights. So we've got to figure out which one is going to be the best, because we want whatever we put on in line with the crankshaft pulley and the water pump pulley. So we want it nice and straight. So as you can see, they're all different heights. So I think that was the one that was on it. an original. That was one that was on the spares one, and this one is one I got off a tractor years ago, meant to be Ferguson. So I prefer to put that on because this is too big, and the bigger it is, the slower it's going to turn. And I'm not too gone on those. That's not original. This, it seems to be too. Is it too wide? No, it's not too wide. It's definitely not too wide. So that's okay. Whereas this one is just a bit too wide. So that's out of the equation. So he can go over there. It's going to be one of these two. This one does have a little chunk broke out of it there. But if it meant that it worked better, in other words, this bit of space in there was needed, we'll use them. So that's where I'm at. I am going to paint this Ferguson grey, make sure it's dry, and we can start the rebuilding then and take it from there. I think that's the. Or am I better off? Maybe I'm better off putting it back together and then painting it when it's on it. I know it's not going to be, it's going to be a lot harder to paint it neatly if I'm going clear coating these. That's the only thing. So I'll make my mind up anyway and I'll come back. I've got the aluminium pieces clear coated there, so I can lift them off to the other side. 2 plough spanners underneath the Dynamo. They're for getting a bit of primer anyway, so it doesn't really matter. That's why I put them under. So we've got our grey here. I'm going to brush paint this. It's not worthwhile setting up the spray painting kit. For this, I've mixed a good bit of thinner through, so it should go on fairly smoothly. We'll take our time. It'll take a few coats. There's probably a bit too much thinners in this brush because I use thinners to clean it. Why it's going on so thin. So, a little brush painting and put up again. I'm not overly fussed. Just to have it looking right, have it looking like the rest of the tractors as well. I'll give this light coats, and at the end, if I get a bit of paint on there, I'll give it a quick rub of sandpaper. It might just help everything just go together a bit more smoothly. This paint I use for spraying anyway, so there's a good bit of thinners in it. It'll take a few coats, but it'll dry quick. That's the beauty of it. And I prefer, being honest, when it comes to working on the tractor, like I prefer to use tools and stuff that anyone would have. I'm not going to go setting up spray painting guns for this part. Tractor, any of the castings, most of the castings were spray painted, fair enough, but the engine was only ever brush painted because I don't like shot blasting or anything like that around an engine. It's only a Ferguson, it's not a Ferrari. So light coats, dry quick, build it up, get the brush strokes out of it, then most of them. Let's try then, put the whole lot back together and work out what pulley works the best. This would spray paint up lovely, of course, but this you do just for the finest, because we've yet to put a voltmeter across the battery and see exactly what this is putting out. it's just when we have everything stripped down now, we may get dirty hands. We may as well, you bastard, we may as well put oil on that, sure, look. Plenty of oil on it, not too long. And whatever I put on to lubricate the front there is flying all around the place. So look, I'm not going to be overly fussy. Just take the padlock off. That'll do. So I'm going to let this sit on it for a while, clean up my brush, and we'll get back to that later on when it's time for fitting it. The paint is dry, so that's the casing. So we put back on our commutator actually to buzz it first. Commutators here. So back on through here. So we'll bring it up a little bit closer. Right. Now we don't want to go holding this into the vice, so we have everything there. A bit of grease, probably be no harm. Everything slide a bit better. So just a small bit. That's all they're getting a bit of it polishing up with fine enough that grit sandpaper there, so a bit of grease. And then from I think that just goes straight down onto there. Now we want to be careful with that, so I might hit this on the timber. I might be careful now, because there's a metal case on this side for the bearing. So I want to be careful about hitting. I was going to use a socket, but I want to be hit the rivets anyway. There we go. That's okay. That's lovely. That's good. Now I'm going to go greasing here with this Loctite grease that I use. I'm going to work that in there with the air gun. I'm just going to use light, low pressure, and work that all in there with the gun. And I'll come back and we'll put on the next part. Blown into the bearing there, so we'll put another bit in, and then we put our truss washer in. It should just help kind of push that grease down into the bearing. And what I'll do as well is I'll put a squirt of oil in there as well. May as well. This is the time to do it, because this is going to be horizontal for a long time now, hopefully, and it's going to be harder to for to oil it, and the only oiling place there is the back bushing, so that feels good now. So it could be a little bit messy for a while after it started and running. I'd sooner be looking at oil than listening to dry bearings. So that's after, you can hear that there, it's after pushing the grease and oil down in there. And that's what we want. Okay. So I think that's nearly down. As far as it's going to go, feels good. Yeah, it looks about right there. Okay, so that's that. Now we can put the casing back in. Put the casing back in, just in case it isn't fully dried. I'm going to put plenty of this. I'll rag up over the the vice there. So we need to let that sit out that side a bit. So we have a dimple here. So that's to go into the mating place there in the casing of the Dynamo. We'll turn that to where it's meant to be, and then she goes. So that's sitting home now. And that's all we do with that. This is the grease that I use for likes of these bushings. So we put in plenty down in there. This stuff doesn't fly all over the place. Okay, that's loads. Yeah, that's loads. So on the back of the Dynamo here, we have to line up this little field coil connection. So that's down there, and that goes through there. So what I might do is sit the Dynamo up in the vice now, this way. Alright. Right. And now we'll have to pull back our brushes. Make sure the springs are roughly in the middle there. So we can get this. Be a little bit fiddly, but at least there's like 2 to worry about. So that's some start anyway. Okay, that's going down there, I think. Now, so how we're looking now, roughly like that. Don't think I'm after missing anything. So if all's right and good in the world, 2 long screw bolts should go in. And they go down behind the magnet, I think. Careful here, get the thread started right, because it is only aluminium at the end of the day. It's handy enough to cross them. That's going in nice now. And while we're here, we'll put a bit of oil in here as well if it comes out. Doesn't matter. This is it. It's hopefully going to be horizontal for a good while now. So that's that screwing in. We're not really getting a great view of that on the camera, so what I might do is just change the position of the camera and come back. So up on the workbench. So I haven't really started this side, I don't think, so make sure our threads are biting properly. And not, that's okay. These are very long, they have to go through a tiny little hole in the bottom, so make sure this is loosened off enough that it'll allow things to move around a bit. There is a little nib there that has to go down in there. Seems to be fairly well lined up. Is that going down and fall into it? I think so. Something nearly in the way of it. You can see it's going in a bit of an angle there. So. Nope, it's been awkward. So I'll come back when I have that started, and we'll move on to the next step. Right, I think that's it biting there now. Yeah, it's biting something anyway. Threads feel good. There seems to be plenty of thread in these, as you probably saw when the other end was off, the aluminium bit. It's important that these are fairly snug. These are going to keep this cap pulled in, and the top one, the bottom one, pulled up against each other, and that's going to keep your commutator shaft nice and snug. Don't want it rattling around in there if at all possible. Now what I do with them is I just put on the under these just to get a better grip on it. Okay, how are we feeling now? Turning nice. Feels like it's really well greased, so I'm happy with that. So now we've got to fit in our woodruff key. So that goes into that slot there. I don't know which one, I forget which one, I two of them there. That one's too big, it must be the smaller one. Let's let the camera down a little bit. So you can see the slot there in the shaft. There's the half moon woodruff key should go in there. It went in earlier on. And no bother at all to it. So there we go. Okay, that's good. And then I'm going to put this on loosely, because I'm going to work on the positioning of that. Oh, pushed out the woodruff key, that's alright. Put them in at an angle, help let them get a bite first. There we go. Right, so now we have spring washer and the 11/16 nut. Put that on fairly loosely. So our finished product is fully stripped down, apart from the two magnets. Apart from that, fully stripped down Lucas Dynamo. So a bit grubby for my hands, but should be fine. So yeah, I suppose the next thing is to try it for a fit and see is it pushing out a bit more charge. Right, I don't think I'm forgetting anything on this. It looks complete. So we can start lining up our bolts. That fits on there nice and snug. One bolt in. Let's see what's happening here in a bit. Another bolt in. And we'll lift it up. And in, get on the fan belt. And quickly put on the nuts, keep everything nice and steady. Oh, that's the tensioner, I think, is it? Let's see. No, it's not. No, that's okay. The awkward second. Hand belt is in the way. Okay, no point doing too much because we just tension the belt. Just enough to get a nip on it. Okay, another electrical connections. Field coil first. See how that is like. Right, nice connection there. As I do what I did yesterday. Goes in a little bit till it meets the kind of a lad. I'm gonna get my snouty pliers for here it is. For that. It's not broken or anything, I noticed inside it just kind of pushes against a bit of a bracket. Okay. Lovely. And the top one was a bit loose yesterday, so if it is again, we'll give them a squeeze. So for anyone that didn't watch the Dynamo part 1 video, the connection there with the rivet through it, the main Dynamo connection was loose. So we worked that out after a while. Now, a little bit of tension on the belt. Rub him in. This is nearly out to its end, so it's not ideal. Okay. So there we go. Let's get a cloth. So that's roughly what we're looking at there. It's a bit grubby there. I'll give it a wipe of it and hit degreaser wipe if it's working. We have a few things just to nip up very slightly there underneath, but it should be fine for starting. So we'll give her a start now, and if I'm happy with it and the ammeter is moving, what I'll do is I'll take the cover off the battery and put the voltmeter across it and see if we're happy with the charge. So we'll give her a start. Okay, seems to be charging. Could be slipping on the belt a little bit. I might have to file a little bit more off the end of this to allow this outwards a bit more. Or, as usual, the battery in this thing is always savage. The 1000 cold cranking amps. So I find it never really needs much of a charge. So what I'll do is, I'll just throw the voltmeter across it. The regulator will only charge it as much as it needs to be charged. So we have to remember that as well. So it's not as if it's not doing its job, it's not charging a lot. The battery just might need it. And I never find this battery needs a whole lot of charge. So, I'll get the voltmeter and we'll see what's happening here. So it's not charging obviously that way. Seems to be charging. So I'm happy with that. Nothing wrong with that. Don't ever really have the Dynamo's charging crazy on these anyway. Especially on the gold belly, because all I end up doing is frying the wishing pile. So I'm happy enough with that. Coming up over 13 volts there on middling revs. So I'd say at most it needs a bit more tension on the fan belts. Apart from that, I think we're after resurrecting that nicely now. Wherever my torch is. Sounds quiet. Yeah, doesn't feel like it's vibrating much either. So we'll give them all a nip up, get a bit more, try and get more tension on the belt, and I don't think the belt is yeah, it's not great. It's not too bad actually. We turn this, yeah, we can still turn that easy enough, but it's better than it was. So what I'd have to do is just file a little bit off the end of that there to allow the dynamo outwards and tension a bit more. So I'll nip up them 2 half-inch bolts in there, and we're one more original part fitted, and we have a spare dynamo that we know that works. That was always putting out the same as that Lucas one anyway, and around. So that's scrap. We have a bag of spares between brushes, insulators, and a few of them things, the brackets that we need. We have some spare pulleys as well. So I think I'm going to call it an evening there. Definitely looks right on the tractor, there's no doubt about it. Apologies about the lighting in here, there's loads of light, but I need something coming in maybe from the side. But yep, just that, another little touch of another little original part. So what I might do now that I have that fitted, this is a new voltage regulator, it's not original. I have a few original ones of them, Lucas, so that might be another job, is to fit an original one on that. And then we'd have another original part back on it. But I'm happy with that. So hope it helps anyone considering taking their dynamo apart. They're all basically the same, doesn't matter what make they are, but Lucas was fitted to most Fords, we'll say, and Massey Ferguson, so that would be it should be handy for people with Fords or Masseys, and there was blue paint on that, so it was probably fitted to a Ford tractor at some point. So we'll leave it there for this evening, and we'll catch you at the next video.